Let's welcome back to MidPoint Newsmax legal analyst and political commentator Alan Dershowitz. Alan, let's go ahead and spin to Ferguson, Missouri. The last few days, well, actually the last few weeks, we've been hearing from a number of people who are very close to the case, mostly on the Michael Brown side of things, that there was no reason for a grand jury. This was simply done because it was a cop who was involved. They're screaming racism in this as well. They're also saying, why didn't you just take him to a jury trial? Find him guilty and let's get on with it. Again, we're talking about people who want justice, but it seems do not understand the justice system. Was the grand jury necessary?
Absolutely. These folks who are calling for a trial don't want justice. They want a particular result. Look, I studied this case very carefully. I pretty much know the law of murder. I have no idea whether or not the defendant is guilty or not guilty. The evidence should determine that. The forensics should determine that. What I have a great fear of is that the grand jury may be influenced by the fear of mob reaction. I mean, if the grand jury, if even one single grand juror says to himself or herself, my God, I have two choices. I could acquit him and there'll be riots in the street, maybe my home will be affected, or I can charge him, in which case, hey, I'm safe and I'm clear. You don't want that thumb to be on the scale of justice at all. Nobody should be rooting for an outcome here. Everybody should be rooting for the truth. And a grand jury is in a better position to make that determination because a prosecutor, particularly elected prosecutors, are much more influenced by public opinion. Grand jurors are supposed to be and may indeed be much less subject to the pressure, though I worry that these grand jurors may be subject to external pressures.
Is it fair to say then that those people who scream justice, yet at the same time and almost in the same sentence, they say that justice must mean an indictment, are a little more than a lynch mob?
Well, lynch mob overdoes it. They're not trying to lynch him. Lynch carries an enormous historical baggage with it. I would say they're hypocrites. They're not seeking justice. They're seeking a particular outcome. They want this guy to go to jail. They want him to be arrested, charged, and convicted. They don't know the facts any better than you or I do, but they are rooting for an outcome. Then there are others who are on the policeman's side who they don't want justice. They just want an acquittal. They want no charge. I think it's very hard to find people who actually want justice, who want to see the facts and the law determine the outcome of this horrible tragedy that has engulfed this city and similar tragedies engulfing so many other cities. We should never be rooting for an outcome. We should always be rooting for an objective assessment of what happened.
With regard to that, then, in your opinion, how troubling is it when you have people such as Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson now writing in USA Today that there's a full court press to put down an uprising around Ferguson, but no preparation for lifting up the people there? It seems as if there's a lot of people who claim to be trying to make things positive there, but at the same time are therefore little more than a reason to foment violence and stir the pot.
Well, first of all, everybody has the right to protest. Everybody has the right to object. Everybody has the right to call for an outcome. It may not be the wisest thing, but they have the right to do that. The line between fomenting and inciting violence and advocating strong positions is a difficult one. The courts have had a great deal of difficulty defining that line, but I think we should just let the process operate. We should take protective measures to make sure there is no violence and that not only are the grand jurors protected, but the policeman's family are protected, the family of the alleged victim are protected, and that everybody is free to exercise their free speech and assembly rights without posing physical dangers.
I got about 90 seconds left. I do want to spin a little bit to the executive action from the president recently. I've been asking so many different constitutional scholars, it's the first time that you and I have had a chance to talk about this. In your opinion, did the president violate the Constitution with his executive order?
The answer to that is crystal clear. No one knows. This is uncharted ground. Anybody who tells you the president violated the Constitution is wrong. Anybody who tells you the president didn't violate the Constitution is wrong. I understand the president doing what he did. I understand that. I understand Congress opposing it. And at this point in time, nobody knows the answer to that daunting constitutional question.
Would it be smart, in your opinion, at this point for Republicans basically to stop complaining about that and move forward and try to do something themselves instead of just sitting there whining?
Of course. They should clearly enact legislation to try to deal with this problem. We're not sending more than 10 million people out of the country. We're not sending young kids back. We're not sending people who have never been in Mexico back to Mexico. We're not going to do that. The question is, how do you deal with this problem in a sensible way? Legislation is obviously the better route, but I understand the president's frustration, and he is, by the Constitution, designed to enforce the laws, and he's decided to enforce them in this manner Congress clearly has the ability to trump him, but they have to act. They can't just silently complain.
And we got about 90 days or so left, from what I understand, before everything actually takes effect. So it's going to be an interesting holiday season for everybody. Alan Dershowitz, thank you so much. A very happy Thanksgiving and a happy holiday and a safe one to you and your family. Let me also remind everybody that your book is Terror Tunnels. We talk about it here, and certainly we will continue. Alan, take care. Great holiday.
Thank you. You too.
All right. There are more than 35 million of these people around the world. Their numbers are growing. And it's mostly lip service in seeking to free them from slavery. That's up next after a short break. And at 43 minutes after the hour, the unintended and intelligent victims of Barack Obama's executive action. Those who say that perhaps the president did not do everything that they need. That's coming up right here on MidPoint, where every day we question everything.